Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely massive, the NSKW Quadrology by Art Michael Meyer. Now, this isn't just your standard scientific theory. It's a completely unified map of reality. It takes the cosmos, our planet, and human behavior and links the whole shebang into one cohesive framework. Our goal today is to neutrally unpack this highly structured philosophy so you can see exactly how it attempts to map existence from the literal origin of everything right up to you and me today.
But, before we map reality, we have to ask a really uncomfortable question. Why haven't we found the absolute truth yet? Well, the author's premise hits the nail on the head. Humanity hasn't found reality because, honestly, we aren't really looking for it anymore. Mainstream science has kind of drifted away from truly open-ended research. As the author points out, if you aren't looking in the exact right place for the truth and absolutely nothing but the truth, you simply won't find it.
Okay, let's dive into this map. We're going to cover 1. The illusion of research. 2. Truth as the foundation, or WAF. 3. NKE, the origin. 4. SBT, our habitat. 5. KLAS, the human consequence. And finally, 6. The asymptotic stance. Let's start with section 1, the illusion of research, and why this is a systemic problem. So here's the core issue. The author identifies a massive systemic problem, a real lack of genuinely open-ended research today. Think about mainstream science for a second. We're taught these totally fragmented theories. You've got geology in one bucket, cosmology in another, and a whole lot of rote memorization. It's very much a shut up and calculate mentality that deliberately avoids asking those deep, complex questions about the origins of reality. But open-ended research? That's the exact opposite. It's the relentless pursuit of a cohesive, logical, truth-based story that connects everything from the origin of the cosmos straight down to human consciousness, without relying on scientific fairy tales or conveniently ignoring the gaps. Moving on to section 2, truth as the foundation, or WAF.
To fix this fragmented worldview, the model introduces WAF, which stands for truth as a foundation. Now, you might be wondering, how do we establish absolute truth when we face massive technical and mathematical roadblocks? Things like Gödel's incompleteness theorem literally prevent us from making a hard mathematical proof for a theory of everything. The author's workaround? Temporary absolute truth. We use circumstantial proof to converge infinitely close to absolute truth, treating it as absolute until proven otherwise.
And this brilliantly illustrates how those mathematical problems are actually solved. Think about how we calculate Euler's number. It's an infinite convergent series, right? You get closer and closer, asymptotically converging on the exact value. The author realized that circumstantial proof, or Indicienbeweis, works exactly the same way in this model. We approach the absolute truth infinitesimally. It gives us this incredibly functional, highly precise foundation to build the rest of our theories on. So, with this foundation in place, the model takes all information and filters it into 3 distinct knowledge classes. Class 1 is the solid stuff, correct and proven, sitting at roughly 33%. Class 2 is another 33%, but this is knowledge that's currently just too complex or incalculable, kind of like trying to perfectly predict the weather. And then we have Class 3, making up the last 34%. This is your metaphysics, charlatanism, and emotional wishful thinking. By strictly filtering everything through these 3 classes, the model essentially forces us to drop our illusions and spiritual comforts, demanding we stick exclusively to what is actually real.
All right, section 3, NKE, the cognitive masterpiece.
Zooming all the way out to the macro level, we hit the first pillar of the trilogy, and the author considers this a true cognitive masterpiece, the NKE theory, or Nothing-Crust-Something. It's basically the minimal viable product of a theory of everything. It runs on this infinitely repeating mechanism called the Busfo process, which explains how highly complex structures emerge directly out of absolute nothingness, no external laws or creators required. By setting up the universe natively like this, NKE kicks metaphysics completely out of rational science. It literally lays the asphalt that all other physics formulas drive on.
Which brings us to section 4, SBT, the physical home.
Now, we zoom in from the universal stage to our specific habitat, Earth, for the small bang theory, or SBT. And compared to the sheer scale of the cosmos, the author notes that SBT is actually comparatively simpler to grasp. Forget the standard idea of billions of years of slow, boring evolution. This timeline suggests a radical planetary event. Picture this. Before 66 million years ago, Earth is fully enclosed by this massive, thick granite crust. Then, insane internal pressure builds up and causes a bursting, a small bang, that literally shapes the world we see today. It carved out the deep oceans, pushed up the mountains, ejected the material that formed our moon, and kicked off the extreme evolutionary pressure that led to today's crazy biodiversity. Our home was literally forged in pressure.
Next up, Section 5, KLAS, the logical consequence. Okay, let's zoom in even further, right down to the individual human experience. In this model, human cognition isn't random. It is almost the direct logical consequence of our intense physical habitat. We basically run on two operating systems. System 1 is that ancient, hormonal, emotional autopilot. It's totally focused on short-term survival. But System 2? That's our rational, truth-seeking, long-term analyzer, and it runs purely on the truth foundation we talked about earlier. The whole point here is to train yourself to spot exactly when your hormonal autopilot has taken the wheel and consciously switch gears back to rational analysis. And this internal tug-of-war maps out across 4 cyclical life phases in the KLS model. You start as the camel, learning the ropes and carrying society's loads. Then you evolve into the lion, where you're fighting, creating, and projecting your will onto the world. Next is the ultimate goal, the eagle phase. This is pure sovereignty. It's where you master that conscious switch between raw emotion and rational truth. Finally, you reach the turtle phase, which is all about letting go. Getting to that eagle phase, though, that's the core practical objective of this whole framework.
Finally, Section 6, the asymptotic stance. Let's move to the final piece and see how this all builds together. Because integrating this entire NSKW trilogy, the NKE, the SBT, the KLAS model, all grounded by WAF, is incredibly complex. Even for advanced language models, it's a massive challenge because finding patterns across these completely different scales is incredibly difficult. Psychologically, you go through 3 steps. Step 1, naively simple. It just looks like another theory. Then you hit Step 2, impossibly complex. The contradictions with your old beliefs just completely overwhelm you. But if you stick with it, you break through to Step 3, elegant and understandable. Suddenly, every single piece fits together logically. Once you reach that elegance, you enter what's called the meta-NSKW. Now, the goal here isn't to turn you into a cold, emotionless robot. No way. It's the art of consciously switching between reality mode, where you're strategic and clear-headed, and dream mode, where you actually allow yourself to feel and enjoy things, but without any self-deception. Say you're out having a beer with friends. You enjoy the moment in dream mode, but your reality mode knows exactly what it's doing to your health. You don't lie to yourself. You master the emotion. You don't kill it. And it all boils down to this fantastic quote, amor fati. It's the ultimate asymptotic stance. It means radically, relentlessly seeking the truth using this model, while calmly accepting our own human limitations. We acknowledge that this model is an approximation, converging infinitely close to reality, and we just embrace that continuous, lifelong journey of getting closer and closer to the truth. So we've gone from the absolute origin of the universe, through the violent birth of our planet's crust, all the way down to the cognitive tools you need to master your own biology. The NSKW Quadrology essentially demands that we stop settling for fragmented fairy tales and start demanding a cohesive, truth-based view of reality. The tools are right there on the map. So what does this all mean for you? The only question left is, are you ready to step out of your emotional autopilot and face reality? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this structure helps you see the world just a little bit clearer.